All right, it's Larry Kruger once again for the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we do a little recap of everything that happened in Niner news on a Friday, December the 5th. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville, they're in Corte Madera, they're soon to be in Petaluma, and they're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do actually run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you and join us at Pig and a Pickle on Sunday, this Sunday. Couple days from now, we'll have our Krug Show meet and greet. We'll be there hanging out, watching football, having some maybe some barbecue, some beers, maybe hanging out and watching football all day at Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera. So if you're out in Corte Madera, stop by the Krug Show meet and greet. We got some merch to give away, and it should be a fun day. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's happening today in 49er news. Niners in the bye week. So the Niners roll into the bye week, 9-4, feeling good. They've won 3 in a row. They're playing good football. They're getting healthier. And you can sense the momentum building to what's going to be a ferocious December run of football for the 49ers as they come home with a trio of games after the a quad of games. Home against Tennessee, at Indianapolis, home against the Bears, home against the Seahawks. And they may need to, don't need necessarily to win out, but they probably need to win 3 out of 4. They, to get where they want to go for sure. Detroit is roaring up from behind, and there's a lot of things happening in the NFC. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of games or couple of weeks. This weekend, you've got the Bears taking on the Packers. You also have the Rams and Seahawks involved in games we should all be watching. So you want to root against the Rams, the Seahawks, and I would say root for the Packers to beat the Bears. And let's talk about some of the news, though, surrounding the 49ers on this Friday, December the 5th. One thing I think is really kind of interesting to watch is the 49er blitz rate throughout this year. Okay, so starting in week 1 and going all throughout the year, and it's really been kind of a roller coaster ride in their blitz rate. And it's interesting. It really is interesting how this thing has broken down. So the 49ers in week 1 against Seattle blitzed 30% of the time. Niners don't blitz a lot. And Robert Saleh in his first edition here, when he was first here, had D Ford, Bosa, Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner. They never blitzed. They got it done with their front 4. He never blitzed. He had a super low blitz rate. But for week 1, it was 30% against Seattle. Then week 2 in New Orleans, I was there in the Superdome when it was Mac Jones starting. Also the blitz rate, about 30%. Okay. It dropped down to a little bit over 20% against the Cardinals. They blitzed less against the Cardinals, and then less also against the Jaguars, and then didn't blitz the Rams at all, hardly, like only, between a little bit over 10% of the time, like 12% of the time in the win in Los Angeles. Didn't blitz Stafford, didn't give him the defined reads. I'd love to hear Saleh speak as to his philosophy as why, the Stafford game was such a low blitz rate. Then Tampa, they blitzed Mayfield closer to 30%, about 25% roughly. Then they blitzed the Atlanta quarterback, Michael Penix, about 28%. Then they blitzed C.J. Stroud like 35% of the time and lost that game. Then he went away from the blitz and blitzed Jackson Dart, the rookie. There's 2 ways to go about it with a rookie. You can speed him up or you can make him be accurate. And if you don't feel like he sees it, sometimes blitzing a young quarterback just gives him like a kind of a guideline on how to play. So why do that? And when a guy doesn't know what he's doing, why give him a guideline by sending blitzers and letting him throw in behind and that kind of thing? He was blitzed in college. So just drop into coverage and make him be accurate and make him see the field. And Jackson Dart didn't see the field and doesn't see the field because he's a young quarterback. So they blitzed him barely at all, right? They beat the Giants big in that game. Then the next game against the Rams, they wound up blitzing a ton. Almost 50% blitz, 48% blitz in the game where Stafford hung 42 on them. All right. So that's the high water ever for Saleh in a 49er as the 49er defensive coordinator. And then that number dropped from in the Cardinal game against Jacoby Brissett to like 10%, 12% the next week in week 11. So if they go from like 50%, 48% blitz to like 11% blitz against Brissett, it went up a little bit over 20%, like 25%, something like that against Carolina. And then last week against the Browns and Shedeur Sanders, it went down to like nothing. Like they didn't blitz at all, basically. The lowest blitz rate of the year, lower than the Giants blitz rate, lower than the Brissett blitz rate, lower than the Rams first game blitz rate. I mean, literally less, like 5% blitz. So they've gone 50% blitz. They've gone 5% blitz. It's pretty interesting to watch the different ways. And I'm sure Saleh would speak to it as far as why in the different game plans he had different approaches. But it goes to show, since Bosa went out, he's had to get creative. And some weeks he's going to send the house, and some weeks he's not. And he's got different kinds of plans, and he's trying different things and seeing what works. Maybe the not blitzing does work better. Why? Because the Niners shut out the Browns in the second half of that game. The Browns barely did anything offensively except for run the ball a little bit with Quinshon Judkins. So overall, it'll be interesting to see what's coming next down the stretch. And, I can ask Saleh about it, but, it's like, hey, give me your game plan. It's like he's not going to give you the game plan. So, but it is interesting to kind of study the way the season has gone and how it pertains to their blitz rate. A couple other Niner notes, and we should probably tell you that we're brought to you by Plank Oakland. Plank Oakland is bringing us these practice reports. Thanks to Plank Oakland. It's a great spot. If you haven't been out there, man, you need to get out there. 49er practice reports all season long are brought to you by Plank Oakland, 50,000 square foot entertainment eatery at Jack London Square in Oakland. Just opened the Hub, the brand new sports viewing space with a massive 30-foot media wall and over 70 TVs. It's the ultimate spot to watch every game. Great food, specialty cocktails. They got a 15,000 square foot outdoor beer garden. Guys, you got to check this out. There's like 30 beers on tap at Plank. Plus, you can bring the kids. They've got bowling, bocce, arcade games. If you're a Krug Show listener, you get 15% off between now and the end of the year. Just to say you know me. PlankOakland.com. That's PlankOakland.com. Take your holiday party there, your friends, your family. It's an awesome spot right there in Jack London Square. Really a fun place. PlankOakland.com. Check it out for yourself. I think you'll really dig it. Once again, PlankOakland.com. All right, a couple other notes. Eric Kendricks was added to the practice squad, and it's interesting. Then they added him to the practice squad, and now he may wind up being the starting Mike linebacker come playoff time. We'll find out. With the injuries the Niners have had, and the fact that Kendricks is a veteran, I have a feeling that move may be kind of the under the radar move. I was hoping the Niners would go for Darnell Savage. He went to Buffalo today. Fred Warner, who sustained that dislocated ankle October 12th, there's been a lot of talk about can he potentially return. Warner had surgery on the Monday after October 13th. The earliest date of return, the 10-week mark, is December 22nd. To be safe, they're saying 16 weeks out would be February 2nd. That would be the week after the NFC Championship game. So I just think it's unlikely. It's highly unlikely that Warner's back. I know people were like, hey, why is Krug being so negative on Warner's return? No, I'd love to have him come back. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think Niner fans shouldn't speak about it. I don't want to pressure Fred. If it happens, let's all be surprised. Let's not be like, is Fred coming back? Is Fred coming back? Is Fred coming back? Because it's also kind of a disservice to the guys they got. They got some good guys right now. Bethune, Robinson, Martin, they got some guys, Kendricks. None of those guys are Fred. I get it. But, out of respect to those guys, this whole Fred conversation of when he's coming back, To me, let's just have them surprise us. That's how I see it. By the way, this is an interesting day, or I guess yesterday, technically, December 4th. 3 years ago, yesterday, Brock Purdy entered the game against the Miami Dolphins for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo. And man, the rest is history. 210 yards that day, 2 touchdowns, the 1 pick. The Niners beat the Dolphins. He beat Tom Brady the next week in his first start, and he never looked back. And now he's the unquestioned leader of the franchise and a guy who hopefully will bring the 49ers their 6th Lombardi trophy. Latest odds are out for NFL Coach of the Year. Shanahan's nowhere close. Vrabel's minus 235, Ben Johnson plus 250, Mike McDonald plus 650, Brian Schottenheimer plus 1,800. There's other guys in between. Shanahan and McVay are at plus 3,000. So basically it equates to about a 9% chance. I mean, it really is laughable too, because Shanahan is having a phenomenal year. And how many of those guys, Dave Canales, Shane Steichen, Liam Cohen, Brian Schottenheimer, these guys that are, above him on the odds, could have possibly done what Shanahan did this year? I would say no. So I think it's going to go to Vrabel, but I think Shanahan, what if the Niners run the table? What if they go 4-0 down the stretch? How do you not give it to Shanahan then? By the way, Roger Craig is now has only one significant hurdle for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Wednesday morning, he was one of 5 finalists for the class of 2026 with Ken Anderson, L.C. Greenwood, Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft. Good luck, Roger, man. We love Roger. He's an NFL pioneer. He absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue. He needs to be in. I mean, I'm a Niner fan through and through, and I sort of want to see Gore in there, but I really want to see Roger in there. And I eventually, once Roger's in, then I can focus on Gore being in there. But to me, Gore can't go in before Roger. Come on. That would be ridiculous. Roger Craig's one of the greatest running backs of all time. He needed to be in. I'm glad that he's going to be in. By the way, the 49ers after the bye week under Shanahan, 44-19 after the bye. 2019, they went 10-3 after the bye, and they went 4-0 to start that 10-3 stretch. 2021, then they went 8-4 after the bye. 2022, they went 9-0 after the bye. So, buckle up, man. I think this is going to be good. 2023, they went 7-2 after the bye. So the Shanahan's teams have been really good after the bye. They take that bye week, everybody gets another deep breath, and then they go at it. And I expect the Niners to really fire here at the end of the year. According to Dan Graziano of ESPN, Brandon Ayuk wants to play with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. If you're shocked by that, let me know. I don't think any of us really are. How good have the Niners been on defense in this 3-game stretch? They've given up 22 points against Arizona, 9 against Carolina, and 8 against Cleveland. And they forced 7 turnovers, and they've shut down the run for the most part. This last game, Cleveland rumbled for 138, but the Carolina had 69 yards rushing. They totally turned off the Rico Dowdle faucet, and then 36 yards for the Arizona backs in that win. So they're taking away the run. They're taking the football away. They're not turning it over. And they're not giving up a lot of points, and their defense is starting to hit stride. It's great to see. The 49ers ranked 7th in EPA per play on defense over the last 3 weeks. So, they've gone 3-0 to get to 9-4. EPA as a metric does not encompass a unit's entire performance. It's mostly closely linked to how often an offense or defense creates or prevents explosive plays. So the fact that the Niners ranked so highly over the last 3 weeks in a category in which they were 24th for the season as a whole is indicative of the incredible improvement. I mean, think about it. That they're 24th on the year, so that's pretty incredible. That really is. So I mean, to be 7th in EPA over the last 3 weeks and still be 24th tells you how bad they were before that. So they're really coming on defensively. And Cleve Farrell, his 2 sacks against the Browns, he's got 4 in 4 games. He could be, the Niners version of Cody Ross. I mean, Cleve Farrell's greatest sack season has 4.5 sacks. He's got 4 right now. He's a half sack away from his career high. And his career high happened in 15 games. He's played like 4 games. So Cleve Farrell playing well. Keon White's playing well. He's looking better and better and better. He had a pressure rate of 28.6 in week 13, second highest of his career. Keon White is fitting in this scheme really, really well. Then you add the fact that Yatir Gross-Matos is coming back from the hammy. Sam Equinu's coming back from the ankle after the bye. Probably a week after that, Tatum Bethune's going to be back on the field. And the Niners are peaking suddenly. They're not going to get Warner back. They're not going to get Bosa back. But Equinu's big. His pass rush win rate is 11%. Only Bryce Huff at 16.7%. It's got a better, PFF pass rush win rate than Sam O. So, and you got Sam O can be inside, he can be outside, he's versatile. Gross-Matos can be inside, he can be outside, he's versatile. If you can add Gross-Matos and Sam O, and they can ball out down the stretch with Cleve Farrell and Keon White kind of doing the same, maybe it's time for liftoff. And any kind of momentum up front is going to help the young DBs. And the young DBs are coming on the back end. They are absolutely coming. These guys are getting better and better and more confident and more united and more locked together. It's happening. I'm watching it before our eyes. So very interesting time right there. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks to Plank Oakland. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.